Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and gabbing, maybe some microphone gabbing at the after party.
With DJ Eric, Paige,
and me.
And I know you know what, we need to find the original. I don't know where it's at. I need to find the original one that still has you in it, so when you are here we can use that one. So I don't know what I did with it, because I think Jordan edited it and he edited it.
edited it. I think that's the way you pronounce it.
He chopped it off there, so I'm gonna have to ask him if he still has the other one, because I'm sure he has it somewhere saved. All right, everyone. As always, welcome to
That sounded very British of you. All right.
By the way, Lance, did I see on Twitter that it's your birthday today?
Twerkalicious.
Yeah, it's his birthday party today. So happy birthday to Lance, one of our regulars here. Hope you're enjoying your birthday.
That's why he bailed on this.
Yeah, that's why he bailed. Yeah, so happy birthday, Lance. Geek information. Hope you're enjoying it. And don't eat too much cake. Unless it's ice cream cake, because I love ice cream cake and I can eat the whole thing by myself.
It's daughter's birthday.
Oh, it's your daughter's birthday. Well, wait. On your you sent me a tweet. Oh, okay. I see. Well, happy birthday to your daughter.
Oh, God.
Happy birthday to either way. It's still happy birthday. Whereas Ben is I think Ben said he was filming a movie or something on his video.
I think it's like a snuff.
He's doing something. I don't know. Don't even go. You know what? Like, we're not even 2.5 minutes into the food, and already you're like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it demonetized. So,
On the edge.
I can already feel a yellow check mark somewhere.
I know.
It won't be yellow, just be gray and crossed out.
Already. Yeah. So, oh gosh, that would be awful. Could you imagine? They just delete the whole thing. Anyway, hey, Sean Stackhouse, how are you? Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. We have a lot of topics today, so we're going to try and get through everything. There's been some really odd stuff. I want to start out with the update to the Ezra Miller story.
Is that why you're wearing the Flash shirt?
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing Flash shirt.
Thought so.
If you folks haven't been keeping up with it, we talked about it last week, and then I did a video with an updated story. So Ezra Miller has been having a lot of issues. Well, just in general, but particularly in Hawaii. And
only in Hawaii, I think, mainly.
I don't know, but I even saw a video. He's still there, right? Or they're still there?
I don't even know. Like, the whole thing's like that Twitter account. It keeps changing its name. Like, it was like Ezra Miller versus Hawaii, and then it was like Ezra Miller versus. It keeps changing, like Ezra Miller versus something.
Yeah. So apparently,
it's like the update log of like all the stuff Ezra Miller's doing.
The last video I saw, there was one from TMZ where Ezra was being basically kicked out of a bar and was like fighting with, I guess, one of the people that work there.
Well, apparently the thing is that, well, they're saying that Ezra's been pretty much kicked out of every bar in Hawaii. No, sorry, in Hilo, or it's the area that.
Oh yeah, it was Hilo.
Hilo, yeah, something like that, or Hina, or something like that. In that area, it's pretty much kicked out of every bar, and every night attraction, if you want to call it.
Yeah. So all that's been going on. Welcome, Brandon S. as a YouTube member. Hope you enjoy all the perks, all the fun stuff there. Check the community tab and check your perk section, and use your emojis. There's Goldface if you like Goldface. Thank you again for the support. So he's been kicked out, and there's also been a lot of drama with the couple he was staying with. Or I say drama, but I don't know if it was just, it's a lot more than that, but we're not going to go into all the details. However, news came out that WB had some meeting, unnamed source said there was a meeting to discuss Ezra's future in, Warner Brothers and DC in general, and then there was a pause on some of his projects. I keep saying their projects. I keep forgetting that every single time.
There's no point, like, because it's just a force of habit. So
yeah. Anyway, so it's not on purpose. I'm not doing it on purpose. For anybody that wants, I get raked over the coals on Twitter for that.
Do we have to remember that person that was on the borderline of canceling you and me? You and I
know.
It's like, these YouTubers that aren't probably.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, it was a subtweet. It didn't even.
Yeah.
I think
it was a subtweet, not adding us, but it somehow made its way to us.
Yeah. Anyway,
they might be here watching.
They probably, or somebody will send them the video and they'll come and try and cancel us. That's the way it's always.
Well, I think they had 2 followers, so it was a failed.
So, but that happened with the couple. Then there was a temporary restraining order, and with all that emergency meeting stuff. Well, now IGN had an article that came out that rebuked the article from Rolling Stone, which, by the way, is a legit publication.
Who thought would have IGN versus Rolling Stone?
I know. That says that did not happen. And I don't know if it was actually specified if the source was the same source and they just rebuked what they said, or if it was another anonymous source that said it didn't happen.
If you told me who I was going to believe, I would probably say Rolling Stone.
Mm.
I believe Rolling Stone
reasons.
out of the two of them, and I'm not even the biggest Rolling Stone supporter. I've kind of been suspicious of things they've said in the past,
what about Under My
There's no way they didn't have a meeting about this guy. There's no way.
Do you think it was?
Yeah.
Do you think it was like round table, red table talk, or something like that? Which way do you think it went?
I don't know.
All I know is that I think Rolling Stone, if you're going to ask me, like, any publication that actually checks and double checks their info, I would say Rolling Stone is a publication that probably does their due diligence and research. So either the source that they have had a completely watertight lie that they gave them, or they did not do their
well, you know why it looks bad? You know why? It's because it's an LL, and regardless to it, because it's either if someone from Warner Brothers has told IGN that no, this didn't happen, so they're admitting that they're just not going to address the situation, or they're taking their time.
Do you think
which way is it?
So Adam Strangelove, this super chat that he brought up here, the $5 super chat, thank you so much. Here's the deal. If this is what actually is going on, that could be why Warner Brothers doesn't know how to address the situation. It's quite possible that something happened and either Ezra is going to say something, if they fire Ezra from projects, or it was because of Warner Brothers that this happened.
But you know the thing that sort of goes against it, though?
What's that?
There's 13 things that have been reported against Ezra. So you're saying there's 13 counts of transphobia towards
No,
Ezra.
I'm not saying that all of them were that. I think what I think Adam was saying is that maybe that is what caused
that's what got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that being a reason for someone finally snapping, etc. But there's a point where you've also got to be responsible for yourself. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if someone's bullied you. At some point, you have to also be responsible for your actions.
Well, the thing I don't like is people using mental health as a cover-up for any sort of action taken here. Mm-hmm. Because fair enough if it was just a one and done breakdown, but at the same time, shouldn't there be? Why is Ezra allowed to golf on his own if it's such a well-known thing?
Well, I look at it from a different perspective. Outside of Ezra and whatever's going on in Ezra's personal life, Warner Brothers as a company needs to address this somehow, some way.
Because he's one of the. It's like if Timothy Chalamet had gone and done some random stuff, because Timothy Chalamet is in the Warner Brothers family, I guess you'd call it. And
if it is something either psychological or emotional or dealing with transness, it still should be addressed, because the more you stigmatize this issue with him just going around doing awful things, the bigger the problem becomes. And then at the end of it, people aren't going to feel so sympathetic. They're going to feel like, why did this go on for so long? Who on his team allowed it to happen?
And also, but then there's also that thing that account, Ezra Miller versus, well, originally Ezra Miller versus Hawaii, it said that Ezra had a friend there, like going around wherever the place was. So is that a friend that was met while in Hawaii, or is that a friend that went there in tandem? Like, what's the?
I have no clue,
because the whole thing is like, you know, you might be poor and might be hungry. That doesn't give you like the, you know, get you off scot-free for robbing a bank.
Well, and that's the thing is I don't necessarily think that if anyone is in a bad place in their life, they're, how can I say this? I don't know if they should be treated the same way as someone that's doing it on purpose, but they definitely need to address it, and it definitely needs to be taken care of, like either through help or a program or something, even if it's just counseling, something to help that situation, because it doesn't, like one incident, okay, a second incident, maybe it's a pattern, a third incident, it needs to be done. But this has gone on for like years now.
One thing about that though is there's only so much a company like Warner Brothers, like they can push Ezra in a direction, but if they decide I don't want help,
right,
not much they can do outside of firing him.
You can't help.
That's the only other.
You can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
Right.
And that could be the case with Ezra. The fact that he, you know, he's still in Hawaii going around doing stuff at this moment in time, like, when was that thing? Like, I think it was 3 days ago. I think someone had tweeted out saying that Ezra was still trying to get into bars and not being allowed in, or going into bars and then being kicked out.
And the thing is, I've worked in nightclubs for 25 years, and I can tell you when people are suffering from tons of different things, they turn to alcohol. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not trying to diagnose anyone. I'm just talking about anecdotal experience from what I've known. People that have problems look to things to fix problems when they feel like they have no control. And alcohol has always been a gateway for that. And so I'm not saying that's what's going on with Ezra, but I'm saying that that is something that people do. And that could be a factor.
And saying these are all in bars where, why do you go to a bar? Like,
yeah. Well, we'll revisit this story whenever if Warner Brothers makes a statement. I don't know if they will or
get
not.
ready for the 2-month-long event. Ezra Miller.
Yeah. So I don't. One thing I'm going to say. Earlier you said that Warner Brothers has to make a statement about this. Here's the only reason I say that it's possible they don't. I'm still waiting to hear something about Amber Heard.
Yeah, but they haven't fired her. What I'm saying is that if they fire,
they just don't care about. They don't seem to care about like behind the scenes like off screen problems.
Well, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm saying if they determine that Ezra it needs to be fired, there has to be some.
Then yeah, they would. Yeah. But I don't think they're firing. The only thing they would do is just not go ahead with projects he was lined up for. They won't call it a firing. They'll just not go forward with him in those projects and have someone else do it.
Do you think that they're going to try, if say for example they want Ezra to continue on, do you think they're going to do their best to just keep Ezra out of the public eye for like the next 8 months, so that way by the time the Flash comes out they don't have to?
Yeah, but then
they can try.
That's like you know, locking up a rabid dog. I'm not calling Ezra the rabid dog. I'm calling the media the rabid dog.
Yeah.
Unless they can get Ezra to willingly go into a treatment system, I don't see that being successful.
Well, that's what I think. I might have said this to Eric, or I was talking to someone else. But I was like, they should give Ezra this like ultimatum. It's like, you go to rehab, or we can't work with you anymore.
Right.
Because we can't. I mean, Warner Brothers has enough PR nightmares. They've just been taken over by Discovery. Discovery is obviously not, you know, they don't want to.
You think Discovery is like, well, shit, like now we got to
get like how like fucking typical, like straight off the bat, like
they've inherited some stuff.
It's like walking into a new house and the ceiling collapses, like pretty much.
Before we move on, I want to say I saw a funny meme on Instagram about this, where somebody uploaded a poster from the Justice League film, and they grayed out everybody except for Jason and Gal because they're like everyone else is basically. erase
saw
themselves from this
someone
universe.
Oh my god, right?
You know what I saw? I saw someone go, "Great casting, Zack Snyder."
Yeah,
Oh
yeah. All right, let's move on.
That was the thing online I saw.
no.
So the next thing we're going
Man.
to talk about, this is actually the next topic. We're going to be talking about the Earth Prime comic book with Batwoman. But Naruto here has the super chat. I'm going to read the super chat, but we're going to get to this as we talk about the comic. I know Candigraphs, you probably haven't read it, correct? The Batwoman one? Okay. Naruto here with the $5 super chat. Paigey, when your video came out the other day, I assume you talk about Magog being confirmed a few hours before you released it. And then there was another super chat here from Naruto that says, fun fact, Magog originates from Kingdom Come, which, yeah, cool thing. Naruto, thank you for the super chats. There is a Team Eric member chat that I can't pull up on the screen, and we will discuss that after we go through the Batwoman comic. So, and hopefully this will fill people in if you haven't read the comic. By the way, the comic is good. It's probably what I would consider to be an above average Batwoman episode in a comic. And in a lot of ways, I wish that this would have been an actual like story on the show. The artwork is really good too. I really enjoy the artwork. So this is Earth Prime 1, which is Batwoman, and this takes place like mid-season after Marcus has taken control of Wayne and Mary's been infected by poison ivy. And some of the dialogue in the story basically reminds us of that. Now, we are going to get into spoiler territory with this, so if you do not want to get spoiled, you might want to step away. But there's been so much come out about this over the last week. I don't feel like I can really spoil very much. And to be completely honest, it's not a very long comic. And a matter of fact, there's a second story in it that takes up what page? Like 10 pages of it or something?
it's about a 6-page like mini story.
Yeah.
Which is probably the only, because I think you were saying just then, the actual comic story with this Batman one actually just feels like an episode, but that little thing at the end feels like something that would be in a comic. And that was actually written by Cameron Johnson, that thing at the end that plays Luke Fox.
Yeah. I didn't like the artwork in the second story.
I think it was like a quick, just get it over with sort of thing.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer. All right, but in this story, we have let's see where my notes here. We have Lena Luthor crossing over into the comic, basically, connecting the worlds together. One of the weird things about this is Lena is talking to Ryan and then basically confirms that she's Batwoman with her standing there, and she's like denying it or whatever. Kate went to National City and told everyone who Batwoman is. All the people that she knew from like Crisis now knows who Batwoman is. That's weird, right? Like that wasn't really her thing to reveal, correct? I mean, I know they probably did it because they had to connect the story together, but that feels a little weird that you would just go and out somebody's secret identity to people they don't know.
I don't mind Kate doing it probably, because she probably would have had to tell the other members of the league as well, like Barry and Superman and all them.
But wouldn't she have told Ryan? But couldn't she have phoned Ryan and been like, by the way, I told them your secret? Like, why would she
I think it's more the car is going around telling people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well. It's like, someone told me a secret. Let me tell it to you. I wasn't meant to tell anyone, but I'll tell you now anyway.
Yeah. But you see in the picture here, this is one of the frames from the comic. It says Supergirl revealed as Kara Danvers. So it is following up on that storyline with her. And Lena is in Gotham looking for a Mr. Freeze's serum for a project that she's doing for low income housing for like, I think it's renewable energy. Wasn't that what it was? It was like a renewable energy source.
Yeah, renewable energy source. Yeah, for National City, not Gotham though.
Right.
I was assuming that they're tying into like that, the low economic area that we saw them focus on last season.
That's what I assume. But she was fine in the comic. I know a lot of people were excited for this crossover. I think she played a pretty important role. She also, along with Luke, kind of filled Ryan in on Crisis. So now Ryan,
I think it was also to like sort of fill the comic out.
Okay,
because the story's pretty basic. Like what Clayface is in, what?
Yeah,
3 things, like not even that, like 2 scenes.
Yeah, we have Clayface in the comic. He's the villain that's introduced. Yeah. So, but it's like a high school kid who's getting bullied, who gets possessed by Clayface. They do determine that a lot of the rogues are being possessed by or the rogues are possessing these people and basically using them as avatars to like do whatever they want. So that's kind of interesting. But I don't know. I don't think they could have done this Clayface in the show this way. It would have been really expensive, right?
Yeah. Probably would have been, but then again, he wasn't really in much of it. But it allowed him to like do cooler things. Like I don't think that soccer scene at the end would have happened
Right.
in the show. This one could have maybe because it's all dark. It's at night,
And it would have been in the woods, and they could have
yeah.
like,
So I think he could have got away with it. But the soccer one in the pitch, in broad daylight, it would have that would have been the harder one to do.
yeah.
The only thing is that the only issue I have with the Clayface thing is, and I said in my video, is that
Yeah.
when he goes up to pick up that kid at school, they just don't bring it back. I'm like, did he kill him?
Yeah, they never wrote back around on that one.
Yeah, I was like, I went back through. I was like, did they mention anything about him doing anything to this kid? I was like, no, he just pretends to be. I'm assuming he killed him. That's what I'm going to assume he did.
Now, before we talk about the next thing, I want to address something in the chat. People are talking about in the comic, and I told you about this on Twitter, Paigey, that a lot of people think that Supercorp is now a thing because of a line from the comic book where Lena talks about getting back to National City for a hot date and then referring to a surprise relationship with a friend or something along those lines. People were kind of connecting the dots on that and suggesting that her and Kara are going on a date. Do you think that's what what Natalie was trying to do with this comic? Because it was written by Natalie Abrams. So
I don't know. I didn't get that. I just remember like, oh, I've got a hot date or something like that. And I'm like, why don't you just say it then? Why don't you say it's with Kara? You already mentioned Kara. Like, why just mention it's her?
I could see Natalie writing it that way, knowing some people would take it that way.
that's a good point. That's a good
She
point.
might not.
And then
she might not be looking at that as being. She might not look at that as being okay. We will consider that canon, but she would write it in a way that she knows a certain fan base would look at it that way.
Yeah,
so they'll buy extra copies.
And the other thing is they never have to pay it off. They never have to pay it off because it doesn't matter. So it's to feed the Twitter like fan accounts. All right, so the big reveal we get in this though is at the end is that the big bad for this like Earth Prime crossover is Magog. Is it Magog or Magog?
Magog.
Okay,
Magog.
I've never heard it.
Magog.
I've never heard it said. I've only ever read it, so I don't really know the pronunciation. But this is a character who makes an appearance in the very last frame, and let me see here. This character was from the Kingdom Come storyline, but has been connected to other things, and is primarily like mainly a Superman villain. I think, correct? Is that right?
Just like a large threat. So
yeah, but I mean, mainly
or...
he's like, because he's the allegory for the counter Superman, where the public is rallying behind him because they prefer his way of dealing with villains over Superman's, correct? Because he's like no mercy kind of character, sort of like a Punisher version. Anyway, he's basically a Superman-esque character with a staff that he got from Gog that he can shoot plasma through. He also can he has like some radiation powers. He can teleport. He's got a few different things. I mean, I'm sure the comic will kind of solidify whatever they want him to do in the comics. But he's going to be the big bad for the entire run, correct? Is that what you're assuming? I'm assuming he's going to be the big bad.
No, they released that little description thing of him. Like, and hold on, let me try and find it for you quickly.
Okay.
I think this might be it. I should have clicked on that one. And they released like the actual. Hold on, I'll share my screen.
Okay. I'll move that.
Share screen, tab. I'm on Games Radar. Is that an edgy side to go on? I don't know.
Maybe it is.
Got some weird ads. Medivac.
Yeah.
But there's the artwork.
Yeah. That's how he's going to look in the comics, and that's the design for the for Earth Prime. Okay.
There we go. So, across time and universes, Magog has been amassing forces to finally free humanity from their dependency on so-called heroes. Reads DC's description. In his eyes, all they do is bring about pain and destruction everywhere they go, solving no problems and bringing no peace to the world. Magog and his allies plan to change everything and help society bring the superhero community to its knees, helping society reach its true potential once and for all.
All right, well, there we go.
And
wait, there's more on there?
No. I think there was I think it's just them filling out the article. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the big bad, and the next issue that comes out is the 19th, which is weird. It's like a 2-week gap between issues, I think. But But the next one is going to be the 19th, and it's based in the Superman and Lois world, which, I mean, it is Earth Prime, but it's their storyline.
Yeah, it seems like it's all going to be disconnected. Like Magog's not really playing a part in the actual stories, and just like, oh, there's an end thing at the end.
Right.
But the thing is, I'm very curious to see who he recruits. Because you got Clayface, but it says like he's amassing forces like behind the scenes as well. So I'm like, is just going to be this massive army of villains?
Yeah. So, are we excited for this story now? I mean, I think this was a really solid issue for the beginning. I think it sounds pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, like I'm very curious to see what it leads. But the thing that gets me a tiny bit worried is just if the last issue is the only thing where you have all this stuff against Magog, how do you fit that in 48 pages? The only thing I can think of is that it's not really set out like a comic book too much, and it's just like a lot of panels. It's not like those big spread panels that you get. Where it takes up an entire page or something like that, or half a page, which gets me a tiny bit worried. And also, like, how do they bring Stargirl into it as well? Look, the individual stories I'm looking forward to, especially with the Superman and Lois one, because you get to learn the origin of the evil Superman, which I'm excited for. And even like the Flash one, where like they are pretty much doing what the original plan was for the Bart and Nora episode before they changed it because it was too expensive.
Right.
So I'm excited for that type of stuff. The Legends one is probably the one I don't give a shit about. But I'll still buy it. But I don't really give a shit about it.
And this is available, like the Batwoman issue is available on digital platforms. I got mine on Comixology. I believe it's on the DC app as well.
You can buy, but that's available in Australia now. Oh, it's available worldwide now.
Right. Or you can go and try and pick it up in the shops. I don't know how
I think they sold out.
Did they? Okay. Well,
I don't know, and I don't know if they're going to do a second printing. So I didn't get it. I was going to get it physical as well, and my one was sold out.
Yeah.
The place where I was going to get it. So.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next subject, but let's get to some super chats and Team Eric member chats here. Adam Strangelove. $5. Guys, which non-powered individual in the Flash would you rather be? You all can't pick the same person. I want to see who you guys want. Non-powered individual?
There's only one left on the show, and that's Joe.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has
I guess Iris has time sickness, but
Allegra has powers. Chesta's got dark matter. There's no who.
Baby Jenna.
The Jitters barista? Like, I don't know who else is left.
Yeah, I don't know who else left that doesn't have powers on the show.
Cisco Can we just choose someone that's just not Barry? Because I'd probably choose Allegra, because even if I was not needed, I'd still be invited to the scene.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd still be wanted even though I'm not needed.
I've always wanted to be Cisco. Cisco just has the best. He's the coolest character.
Yeah, I don't think you're a very good Cisco though, Eric.
Why would I not be a good Cisco? What's that?
You don't have the hair for it?
Yeah, I know. Also the skin tone. It just really doesn't. I'm not feeling the Cisco aspect.
You're not good with nicknames.
Right, that's true.
True. Like well, I don't know. Maybe unintentionally is because the chalk was Eric's creation.
We also
physically and descriptively.
We also had a Team Eric member chat from LFCSTE9. I can never pronounce that. What is your favorite non-Aeroverse TV show? Theirs is Doom Patrol. What is your, if you had to pick a show that's not Arrowverse, as your favorite
changes because I don't really watch too many like running shows that aren't
Arrowverse.
Yeah, I would say probably Survivor. I like all versions of Survivor.
Oh God!
I was trying to do the theme song.
Yeah. I like Survivor. I tend to like competition shows because I like to watch people that are creative. So everything from like the baking and the cooking shows, like the crafter shows. Yeah, I've watched MasterChef.
So just not Arrowverse. I would probably have to say, if we're talking the last year, Peacemaker.
Okay. I would say also I like all the Star Trek shows, so I watch all of those as well. So
this is
I don't know because I don't really watch too many long running shows. Wait, was it Arrowverse or comic book?
It said non-Arrowverse shows.
I don't know. My favorite show last year was that Mayor of Easttown. That was a really good show.
Yeah.
What was the show I watched recently as well? I watched another show. Oh, that Lakers show on HBO is pretty good.
Yeah. That's actually on my list to watch. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, and the aesthetic is it looks like it was made in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
Looks really good.
Lance here with the 199 super chat. Lena doesn't look like, I don't think anybody in the comic particularly looked like their characters, with the exception of like Ryan.
They gave Lena a weird nose, I must say that.
And they made Camus doesn't look like Luke, or Luke doesn't like Camus, I should say. They don't really look like their characters.
The only one that sort of looked like her was when they did like the drawing where it was like Ryan thinking back to Mary. Mary sort of looked like how she did as Poison Ivy.
Yeah,
Alice didn't look like Alice at all. As well.
No.
Alice just looked like.
I actually was like, who is that person?
Yeah.
Honestly. All right, let's see. We had another Team Eric member chat from Anthony Beltry. It says, will Warner Brothers replace Ezra for Grant? And Candergraphs, you've addressed this before. Well, like, give your reasoning for it, because you had a really good reason for why they wouldn't do it. I saw it in your stream.
I mean, honestly, the reality is they have television and movie actors. Doesn't matter how good you think an actor is on television, they just don't see them in the same light as movie. Now, on top of that, there's a bigger thing, and that is, and Paigey tried to argue with me on this in my chat. You didn't. You went 1 for 3 on your examples.
It was a win.
And that is that. Reality is like Grant doesn't have a movie resume. He's got a Netflix movie. He's got like
a very well-rated Netflix movie, by the way. That's gotten really good.
But it's a Netflix movie. It's not a real movie. It never went to a theater. No one sat and paid $14 to watch that.
Would you? Would you pay $14 to see it?
No. I don't even have a Netflix account. That's how little I think of it.
Wow.
But the reality is they don't. No one in Warner Brothers considers him a movie star because he had a Netflix movie. They would want someone that's got a movie resume. You know, before Ezra Miller became the Flash, he had like 5 or 6 movies where he was either the lead or one of the co-leads of a movie. They might not have been super amazing movies. They might not have made $1 billion, but he was the lead of movies that got to the theater. You don't just very often. I mean, everyone wanted to point out, you know, like, oh, there's an exception to every rule.
Am I going to easily win this debate right now? What streaming services were available before he got cast as the Flash?
I don't know.
So the movies had to go to theater.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we can move on. It was such an easy victory. Oh my goodness.
Did you never hear of a straight to video movie before? That's the equivalent of what a Netflix movie is now.
It would have been straight to DVD. It would have been straight to DVD.
Exactly. That's what a Netflix movie is now.
Exactly.
That's what we call a Netflix movie now, is a straight to DVD movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's what Grant Gustin's resume consists of a straight to DVD movie.
No, we cannot insult Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead like this, Canada Graphs. We will not accept this in the after party. That is not acceptable. We had Anthony Beltry in the chat. He will come at you. Are you calling Zack Snyder straight to DVD?
Sure. If it's going to shut you up for a while, yeah.
Wow.
All right. So Jordan Arnis goes, I'm probably going to read this soon. He's talking about the Batwoman Earth Prime comic. I would say, you know, I don't really have an issue with Batwoman totally. I think this season was primarily good. And I really enjoyed the comic because I think the comic is a better than average Batwoman episode in a comic book form. That's where I would leave it. And I think it could have worked as an episode of Batwoman. And they did have a couple of like Wildmore things in it, but it wasn't like, it only took up like 2 pages, I think.
I don't know why they had. I think they just put it in there for the sake of it. Like there was no need for Sophie to be there, probably.
Yeah, I think you're probably
just
right,
have every character that's on the show.
All right. All right. So let's talk about some photos that our friend Canada Graph snagged that is all over social media, and I've been tagged like 20 times in it. This is a spoiler for upcoming episodes of The Flash. So if you don't want to be spoiled, just know that we're gonna pop these up on the screen, but they're all over the place. I don't think if you're watching this, you've probably already seen them.
Well, you don't care. You don't care about spoilers. One of the two.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. This was Arrowverse Scenes tagged me in this, and then I went over to your blog. But there's 2 pictures here I want to talk about, the ones that they shared. You can find all of this on Canada Graph's blog, or his Patreon. So go over and check that out. Follow it, links from his Twitter. So this is Fast Track or Negative Flash, I believe, was also one of the names used, which is Mina Darwin, who was shown on the back of was it a newspaper or a book on the earlier episode of the season?
Chester was reading a book that she wrote.
And we have
a
couple of shots here. This one, and then one with Grant here from the side view of the suit. And so this is an interesting. I like the suit design. I actually love the suit design. This is a very interesting introduction to a character, since we don't really know how this is going to work, because in the comics, the story is very different. Obviously, it's got the Speed Force storm. It's got stuff about Black Hole is tying into it.
Grodd
mind control. So all of that sort of comes together with this character. I don't think they're going to include all of those elements in this story, right? I don't think they're going to go that route. Correct?
I mean, the only way I could see that is if they don't show it, but they touch on some backstory of her. Maybe they mention Black Hole and be like, oh yeah, remember that time in Black Hole. That might be the only way they pull that in.
Or they could use it that she worked for Black Hole and she got out and started her own labs.
Yeah, but they're not gonna show the backstory. They'll just reference it.
Right. I've got another shot here, side by side comparison of the suit from the comics and the one from the show. This is super accurate. Like, very little on this is different. I mean, obviously it's not glowing here because there's no VFX, but I mean, this is really, really, really accurate to me. And I'm really happy with the way it looks. One of the best things they have done in recent years with the Arrowverse shows is this new style of costume. I don't know, like, which person in the costuming department made the choice to switch over and start doing everything like this, but they look so much better. They look so much more comfortable. They look very comic booky. What are your thoughts on the two of this look? I mean, I think it looks really, really good, right?
Yeah, I think it looks very good. I saw people trying to nitpick. It was like, God, did Eric infect some people with his negativity? Because they're trying to nitpick that the logo the emblem wasn't more angled.
Right. Yeah.
It's like sort of
that was literally the only thing I saw people pointing out. They're like, well, the logo wasn't sideways. And I'm like, I mean, you're right, but I mean, it's like a 9.8 out of 10.
The thing I'm really excited about with this character is her lightning. I want to see what her lightning's like when she runs.
Oh, yeah. Also in the comics, there's the connection with Godspeed. Do you think we're going to see Godspeed coming back with this?
Well, Eric Wallace said in an interview that he had plans to put Godspeed in this season. Now, there's that newspaper article thing, but I don't know if that's going to actually happen come to fruition. But I don't know what's happening at the end of this season, because you had Bart on set. You had Nora was there a few episodes ago. Iris is back. You got this with Barry. Who knows what's going on in this final thing, what the storyline is and what the climactic thing to end the season is. So story wise. So maybe Godspeed does come into it. I mean, he didn't die. So
right. So that's what episode? That's towards the end of the season, right? Cantographs. That's episode 19, 20, somewhere around there. Okay.
Yeah. They have another 2 weeks approximately of filming.
So you estimate this is one of the final 2 episodes?
This is it. This is 19, or it's once in a while they'll film a day or 2 out of order if they're say they're working on 19 right now. But they needed this actress for a scene for 18, but she wasn't available that day, or something went. They might have been doing a scene for 18, but I'm led to believe it's 19 based off something I was talking to one of the crew members with.
Okay. So this question ties into conspiracy territory. I'm going to put up my X-Files music here. $5 super chat. Would any of you support Iris being replaced with another actress due to the Speed Force shenanigans? Okay. So I'm excited to talk about this because this is really interesting. In the comics, there's a very short period of time where Mina and Barry are sort of dating each other, right? So Candace on Instagram says that the 2 things that stood out. One is she's going to be missing from 4 episodes in the back half of the season. I don't know if we know which 4 it is, but she's missing from 4 episodes completely.
Well, I'd assume it's 15, 16, 17, 18 because
right. So she's missing from those episodes, and you guys tell me what your thoughts on this. She also said that she wasn't signed on for season 9 yet, and that she's got to wait day by day or something like that.
Well, that was the interesting thing when the news came out that season 9, when they officially confirmed it. Everyone, including Grant, who's never on Instagram, he popped on to post it that they'd been renewed, and then I saw Daniel Baker, who plays Caitlin, Daniel Nicolette who plays Cecile. I think the actress who played Allegra posted it, and I think even Brandon McKnight posted it. The only one who has Instagram and uses someone regularly that didn't post about season 9, I'm pretty sure, was Candace.
And she's always on
about
Instagram.
the renewal.
She's on there posting every day. So that was kind of interesting. So again, X-Files music, just imagine in the background. What if they're introducing Mina to set up that seed of a love interest for Barry in case Iris disappears?
I think we're turning into crackpots at the moment because we know that's not going to happen because it's just going to completely take away from the big issue is that if Candace doesn't, and let's be honest, they're not going to give Candace that much money that they're giving Grant. Grant sells the show. No. Candace doesn't. And that's no offense to Candace at all. But she's not going to get the Grant money. So if like the money that they offer her isn't good enough, and she does leave, I think they'll just do a very Arrow season 8 style. You know what I mean? Where Oliver doesn't go and, hook up with the next random chick because they've set up that they have the whole children thing. And I know that like Mia was born already, but they still established that like that's a healthy relationship.
I just had a thought.
Don't have a thought because I know it's stupid.
No. It might be stupid, but it's still a thought. What if Iris has to live in the Speed Force because she can't exist in the real world because of her time?
Well, the Still Force.
The Still Force, yeah.
Dion and Iris fling? Question mark?
No, I mean that's really gross. So why would you say that? No, she has to stay in the Still Force because she can't.
How is my one gross? What is it?
So she has to stay in the Still Force, but then how would Bart and Nora be born? I guess the other thing is that
revelation. Dion is actually the father. Enter.
And you said I was going to say something stupid. You said I was going to say something stupid.
You are not the father, Barry Allen. So you are not the father.
I know, but what if there's a love triangle? What if Mina shows up and maybe it's not a replacement for Iris?
That technically Dion is their children.
That's what I said. That's why I said that's gross. That's why I said that.
Sweet home Alabama.
Laura, we don't know what's going to happen with Avery Ho yet, but I would assume that because of this picture that they're not going to do anything with that this season.
Well, I after I learned about this character, I learned about her on Tuesday, by the ways. I only got photos of her on Friday. I did some looking into this character, and one of the things in one of the stories is apparently she did some training with Avery.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she trains Avery at some point in one of the comics. So I wonder if that's going to play.
Oh, yeah, in the comics. Point. Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's because that's a Speed Force storm.
Yeah, that was the whole fast track labs and
that doesn't get killed by Godspeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see Avery having some storyline connected to her. I saw a few people because allegedly, I don't know, I only know one character and that would be Godspeed, but I saw people saying they have a bad track record with Middle Eastern actors on the show getting killed off. And
no, because they keep claiming that Bloodwork died and that Godspeed died. I'm like, neither of them died.
Locked up in Iron Heights, isn't it?
And Godspeed's in Iron Heights and Bloodwork is at Argus.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Neither of them died.
Yeah. So I saw a few people that are like, she better not be around for just 1 or 2 episodes. And I'm just like, I have a hunch this character's sticking around till next season.
But here's the issue, Canadagraphs. You interacted with an idiot on Twitter.
Well,
so obviously this is a new life lesson.
I do that almost daily on there.
Yeah. My rule on Twitter, if there's someone who has a comic book character as their profile and they say something and they're trying to be really judgmental, they're most likely an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
So-
very aware. I am frequently arguing with idiots.
So I don't know if I don't know if you've got some post-it notes around there, a spare bit on the wall.
Right
just
here.
just write idiots equal don't listen to.
Oh,
Probably
geez.
the best way to go about it.
All right, so we got a $9.90 super chat from Lance. Here he goes. Candace saying that on Instagram is the equivalent of Eric Wallace saying he didn't know about season 9. Can't deny it. And Avery, his actress, is on Legacy, is currently playing a guy. I didn't know that she was on another another show, so that would explain.
Well,
why
isn't
she's not.
Legacy's like rapping or something? Isn't that on its final season? I thought.
I'm not sure. I haven't watched any of
No,
that.
I
at all,
don't. I
so,
don't actually know either. It just sounds like something I thought I heard.
Yeah.
I'll touch on this Candace thing though before you change topics.
Yeah, go ahead.
So last season, remember we didn't know anybody was under contract for any length of time or anything, and I said at that time, I'm like, Candace doesn't want to come back. The only way she's coming back is if they throw every penny they have at her, and that's the only way she's coming back. She would only come back for the money, and she did. They aren't going to have the same budget this year to throw at her. I think this is finally going to be the year where she's just finally like, this is not worth me coming back for.
So your theory is she is going to walk away from the show, at least in a full-time capacity.
I think unless they cut to keep Candace, I think they would have to cut Danielle and Jesse to put the money aside to pay her, because the raises they. Okay, I know I've explained this to you guys before too.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna get a raise because of union rules. They can't take less money. They have to get a raise.
Right.
So every time when they're renegotiating their contract, they're getting more money regardless if they want to stay for the love of it or not.
Which is why we see some of the longer characters leave after like season 7, 6, 7, because the show can't afford to pay them what they want. Right.
So somebody has to get cut to make room for the money Grant got. And at the end of the day, if Candace is the one that's most about the money, she's going to be the hardest one to sign. Well, so they're either going to have to cut a couple people or her.
So here, I see people in the chat saying cut like Allegra, Chester. Here's the deal.
They're not making any money.
Right. They would have to cut like 3 people to make up for Candace.
Yeah.
That's like, unless you're talking
and the reason
like Jesse's level or
Danielle's someone level. That's on a long-term contract. The other reason they're not going to cut those, besides the fact that they're cheaper, is you need bodies to fill screen time. You can't have Candace and Grant do 42 minutes of screen time.
Right.
You know?
Well,
so
we'll see what's going to happen. Any thoughts on that, Paigey?
On what?
On Candace not coming back.
I mean, if she doesn't come back, then they can just do as I said, something similar that they did with Arrow season 8. I don't know what it is specifically with Iris. They can just make it that her time sickness is so stuffed up that she has to. Maybe the only bit where she's comfortable is like 5 years in the future or something like that, and or whether it's in the Still Force or something like that, and maybe she comes back for the finale, like the series finale, and it's like exactly what they did with Arrow with Felicity. She came back for the series finale.
I have a great idea. Okay. So this is how you solve the TV show and the movie's problems all in one. Recast Iris with Kiersey Clemens.
Oh, wow.
And have Grant go.
All right. We have a super chat here. This was something that wasn't in my notes, but it's kind of interesting. It's brought up here. Stagger Forth, the 49 super chat. Stephen Amell expressed in a recent article that he's open to make an Arrowverse return. He could come back as Earth 16 Oliver if he still exists. So I read the article, and there was a very tiny quote from Stephen in regards to this. And to me, it just sounds like he'd be willing to come back and be on like a crossover or a cameo or something that doesn't require a lot of like, I don't think he wants to come back and be like every single week on a show like he was on Arrow, because he's doing his other show now. He's got a lot of other projects happening. Would either of you expect to see him come back, or is that just him sort of saying, I'm available if they ever want to use me? I'm open to coming back to the show.
I think it's possible. I mean, remember right after the show ended, he's like, I have no interest in coming back to this. And then it was like in 4 months, he'd changed his mind.
Yeah.
And I think
work and steady paycheck is a good deal.
Yeah. He's basically kind of like, you know what? I'm on a wrestling show right now. As soon as this wrestling show ends, what's next for me? Because I'm not a name product. So
Wait,
he wants to get his
he try
name
to go
back
into
out
big
there.
budget movies and it didn't work? He was in the
The Teenage Mutant, yeah.
And it didn't work. You know, he wasn't very it wasn't
Yeah.
very well received. So
But he's kind of at that point where he knows, or at least I assume he knows, that he's not getting the lead of an HBO Max show that's going to be up for Emmys. Like,
right.
his next role after this wrestling thing is probably like another like superhero something or other, because he's going to get typecasted into that type of thing, or he's going to be General Thug number 4 on a Hallmark movie.
Wow.
You know, like his days as a lead are kind of done, you know?
Wow.
So if he can keep his name,
that,
if he can keep his name out in the spotlight on the Arrowverse for a little longer, he will do that because it might raise his status from like here to here.
Paige, thoughts on that?
On what? Like what specifically?
On Steven not having many options after the wrestling show is over. Do you think that would cause him to go back to the Arrowverse?
I think he could come back to the Arrowverse for like maybe like a crossover or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I think he's fine for work afterwards. I mean, they know that he'll do the work.
So but what I'm saying is, do you think he's a lead or supporting lead role material even after the
I think it depends what the show is.
Okay.
Like what would you
see him in other than that, like an action show?
Like I think a show that like Steven could easily lead would be like, you know, like one of those like cop shows.
Okay.
You know, like an NCIS or whatever it is. One of those typical shows. Like not where you're like a detective, but like one of those like cop shows.
I think I actually think he could do like a Western, like Walker or something like that. I think he would be something like that.
Like that's the thing. Like he would be like, if you know, if it wasn't Jared Padalecki, you could easily see Stephen Amell in that role.
Yeah, but he doesn't pull in the numbers that Jared Padalecki.
No, he doesn't have the supernatural numbers.
That's part of the point I was making. He doesn't have he doesn't have lead status pull.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. If you're on like a show, like one of those NBC stuff, it doesn't really matter who's the lead because it's the actual property that sells it. But something like Walker, that's why they got Jared Padalecki to do it.
That was kind of there. Wasn't that an idea that Jared came up with though? He wanted to.
I think. Well, he's a producer. He's an executive producer on it.
And I think they already had access to the IP, so they just kind of sort of moved on with it. Before we move to the next topic, Anthony here with a $2 super chat. Will WB Discovery give CW big money to? So no, we've talked about this before. The stuff that comes out on the CW is kind of independently created through this like separate production companies. It's not literally like Warner Brothers isn't necessarily making all of the shows. So Discovery wouldn't. Now, could Discovery come up with their own project they want to ship onto the CW? Maybe, but Discovery is doing really well with their streaming service. So unless they have a throwaway show that they just don't want to put on their streaming service, I feel like they would just put it on their own service, right? Or HBO Max, I would guess. Because we don't even know. HBO Max and Discovery are supposed to be merging their streaming apps. So I don't even know what that's going to look like.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know when that's going to happen because like I don't know how long that process is going to take. The only thing I can think of is that they're going to wait till they can actually go fully worldwide with this streaming service, which I don't even know when that's going to be possible because that's why AT&T was such a bad owner because they sold all these different rights to shows and everything like that. Yeah. And now all these different streaming services have the rights to shows for a certain amount of years.
Yeah. So the issue is we have to remember that the CW is being sold or they're shopping it to sell it, which means that they don't want to pump more money into it. That's part of the reason why they want someone else to take up that process.
And they pump it in.
So they can be creative and somebody else pays for it. That's kind of what they're hoping to do. So I wouldn't expect them to put any if they're going to put big money in anything, it's going to be in the properties that are going on the streaming service because that's where they make money at. So, you know, I would expect that to be their
well, it's not where they make money at, like those individual shows, but they need to try and create a product where potentially people will subscribe. That's obviously the hardest thing at the moment.
This is actually interesting. Cody's Team Eric member with the $5 super chat goes, we know there's a prequel for Walker coming, so what if Steven went there? Isn't that where Kat is going? So if Steven went there, wouldn't that be like a reuniting of the Green Arrow?
It wouldn't surprise me too much if he made like a guest role or something on that, like one of those like, you know.
What character is she playing on that? It's a prequel. Is she playing like a younger version of someone on the main.
I think it's
show,
just sort of playing off like that Yellowstone, how they have a prequel series as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be interesting though. A Green Arrow reunion with Green Arrow and the new Green Arrow all together. Wouldn't you love that, Paige?
She ruined those episodes. Or there'll be vice versa. Will it be a good show and Stephen Amell ruins them? I don't know. Talk about
all right. And we still have more news to talk about before we even get to the show. We haven't even talked about the episode yet. But this is they announced the end dates for the shows when they're gonna end. So I thought we'd talk about this and some kind of drama about Superman and Lois. So this is the finale dates for the shows. Naomi's finale is a 2-part finale. It's 2 episodes together on May 10th at 8:00. So we're gonna do back-to-back episodes of Naomi. Is this concerning? Should we be like, oh, this doesn't look good for Naomi, or is it just that they wanted to keep Superman and Lois on without any weird breaks or anything like that? What do you think's happening here with that, with the Naomi?
I think yeah, it's just kind of Superman and Lois. Their schedule is messed up for we know why.
We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, there's a lot going on,
and because of that, they're kind of like, well, that would have been the night that Superman and Lois would have been airing with it. Instead, we will just have a Naomi double feature and get it out of the way during sweeps because it's fresh product that at least we can make some of our ad revenue money back on and be done with it. Whereas Superman and Lois, it's not going to be the finale, so there's no urgency to get it out in May,
Right.
Because if it was a finale, it'd be different, but it's not.
All right, we see that also we're going to get the finale for Superman and Lois on June 21st at 8:00. And we can go ahead and talk about the Superman and Lois stuff right now. So I tried to memorize this because it was very confusing to me. When Superman and Lois comes back at the end of this month, we're going to have 2 episodes. Then there's another, 3-week break?
It's 2 on, 3 off, 4 on.
So it's 2 episodes, 3 weeks off, and then 4 weeks
4 episodes
to go into the finale, right?
That's the easiest way to remember. 2, 3, 4.
Okay. I know they said COVID problems, but I'm beginning to think there's a lot of other stuff happening. Okay, so what is going on?
It's because they use so much green screen and everything like that to get the show done in time. That was the clear thing last year as well. So it can't be like, another.
Don't you think they would have known that after season 1?
I mean, that's how I feel, right?
But I think it's also the fact that they can't just not have the show on, for network television for a year.
It's so weird.
Premiere. But also the thing is I'm very curious to see, was it even meant to premiere in January or was it pushed ahead? Because Eric Wallace says that he was told Flash was meant to premiere in January.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it got pushed back to March. And was Flash pushed to accommodate Naomi, or was Superman and Lois moved to accommodate Naomi? Which was which?
No.
Yeah.
Because Flash is going to be done in a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we're only on episode 10.
Yeah, and see right here it says the Flash's finale is June 29th, which is after Superman and Lois. So that's the end dates for the shows in this season, and the only one that I'm frustrated with right now is all the breaks with Superman and Lois. I just feel so exhausted. Sometimes I don't even know. I can't even remember. Should I be watching Tuesday or not watching? And it kind of hurts the show because people they go to watch it and it's a rerun.
You know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Gotham.
Did Gotham do this?
Gotham used to do it all the time, and
I watched Gotham on streaming, so I never saw any breaks.
If you watched Gotham week to week, which I didn't do all the time, just because let's be honest, Gotham was either good or it was terrible. It was 1 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. No in between. So sometimes I would just skip it. But they'd have those random breaks. And then they'd have the Jerome arc every season for 4 episodes, and then go on another break. Gotham used to take so many breaks. I don't know if it was something similar to that, or for some reason it was the network, because Fox is all over the joint as well. So it might have been Fox, but reminds me of what Gotham used to do. And I think that hurt Gotham as well in regards to the live stuff. That's why I was always on Hinge, whether it was getting canceled or not.
But what really sucks is you were talking about how Gotham was hit or miss. Superman and Lois is not really hit or miss. It's pretty much consistent.
Well, the only thing not consistent with Superman and Lois is its airing schedule.
Right. So
I gotta wonder, like, whether it is a COVID issue or it's a special effects issue. They, again, one way or the another, knew this a while ago. This is coming.
mhm.
Why not just have it off for like 10 weeks and have 7 straight episodes run through, or 8 straight episodes run through, whatever it is, instead of the way we've got it broken up
Because
now.
they can air a certain amount of episodes, and then for the weeks that they're off, just repeat the episodes that they've aired. So they can double dip. And those repeat viewings, based off the ratings, still get viewers.
Yeah.
Because people still sit there and watch it.
Well, they probably tune in for a new episode and they're like, "Oh, it's a rerun. I'm just going to sit and
whatever.
watch
I'll just
it
I was
anyway."
playing. I'm not doing anything. I'll keep it on the background just to remind myself or something.
Yeah.
Like
Who are the
that.
people? Who are the people that see a rerun of something they just saw 2 weeks ago and like, I'm going to watch this again
I don't know, but
right
I'm just
now
saying,
with
I'm guessing
commercials?
with the numbers they're getting, it has to be some repeat viewing. I mean, I don't see any other way, unless it's getting like 2 million viewers total. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about before we talk about the episode of The Flash is something that we briefly talked about last week, but I kind of want to just bring it up again because now it's becoming an even bigger push. Is we know the upfronts are going to be in May, right? That's usually when they are, correct? The upfronts.
Yep.
We're seeing both Batwoman and now Legends of Tomorrow really, really, really beg people to like retweet them and tag them and watch the shows on playback. Do you think this is like panic mode for those writers and the people involved with those shows? Or is it just them trying to buffer and make the CWC like, hey, people want to see it? Like, because I think the CW's probably already made their decision. I don't think anything that's being done now is going to make a difference. They just haven't announced it yet.
Let me backtrack from that a little bit. I think the CW has made a decision, but there might be like a small window where they're like, okay, we have like 2 shows deciding on one spot, or both shows might get in if there's a pilot we don't like. Like that's about the window they've probably got left. As for all of the like campaigning going online, I think this is just the bored 14-year-old that runs their Twitter account, like looking for likes.
You mean the actual like official accounts, basically?
Yeah, like the Batwoman's writers' room Twitter account. That's not someone from the writer's room sitting there all day going, okay, I need to make a tweet. No, that's some 14-year-old they've hired to run their social media.
Like an intern. Like an intern,
yeah.
Basically. And
that person, all they're told is, we want you to engage and try and get X amount of likes. That's what they did, you know?
So, okay, so say, for example, we have 3 options in one spot available. And we have Legends, we have Batwoman, we have Gotham Knights.
Right.
And they can only pick one of those 3 things based on what we've seen with Gotham Knights now and everything that's going into it. That doesn't look good for Legends and Batwoman.
No, it doesn't.
If Gotham Knights is a sure thing and they have 1 slot left and they have Batwoman and Legends left, and that's the one they have to pick one of those 2 shows, then it doesn't look good for Batwoman either. It looks like Legends would fill that spot. So I think out of those shows that are left, the only one that I would be truly concerned about based on numbers and what they're doing on CW now is Batwoman. That's the one that I would be the most concerned about. So I think Legends is almost, if they got a bubble with a spot available, I think Legends may go through. I think Batwoman's in trouble.
I think both Batwoman and Legends might be in more trouble now than they were 2 days ago, and here's why. So yesterday or maybe the day before, there was a vote in Vancouver from the Directors Union, the Directors Guild, on whether to go on strike. So that does not affect any current projects that are already in production. So anything already started doesn't affect. Anything after that does not have a start date in place by the day they decide to go on strike, they're shelved until the strike is over. So if they look at it and they're like, okay, we're getting down to the wire, and this happens in May, right around the upfronts, and they're kind of like, we have to pick a show. They're not picking one in Vancouver.
Right. So what is the this is the first I've heard of this. What is the director strike over? Is it conditions or money
Just
or
money. Like, it might be conditions related too, but it's, as in anything else, they want better compensation.
okay.
Yeah.
Is this a recent thing or has it been an ongoing thing? Because you
I
know
only
more than I know about it.
I only first heard about it about like a week ago. And then I heard there was going to be a vote this week. And then yesterday I saw the Deadline article saying that the vote was 95% in favor of striking.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to strike. It's just a matter of when.
Right. But I feel like this, when they do these votes and they say they're going to strike, that usually means that they are waiting for money because people, they don't
it's
want
a negotiating. Yeah.
Right.
It's a negotiating tactic.
I mean, if they break out checks tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to raise your money this much, the strike won't happen. So,
but like the article also stated, like they've been working with no contract for over a year already, and nothing's happened. So it's not like, it's not like it's not like whoever's in charge of their union is going to sit back and be like, all right, we'll get back to you in 10 months.
Right.
They want an answer in the next 4 to 6 weeks. If they don't get that, then they will go proceed with that,
Right. All right, so I guess we'll have to keep our eyes out for May. We will get an answer one way or the other at the upfronts. That's 100%. Like, I don't think we'll wait. It won't go any further than that. They're going to let us know if they're going to renew or cancel either show.
I have a Paige's pick, by the way.
Oh no.
You?
Would you like the Paige's pick?
What is the Paige's pick?
Well, you got a bit of a teaser for it. It's top 5 songs that perfectly describe DJ Eric.
Oh, okay. Well, what are they? Let's do Paige's pick then.
Okay. You gonna put up the little banner, or are you gonna be
you want the banner
lazy today? Well, people might want the banner.
They want the banner. I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna do this Paige's edgy pick.
Oh, I don't know.
Ooh, that's edgy.
So I don't know. I guess
no. We're gonna call it this. Paige's pick 2.0. We'll do that.
Ooh, 2.0.
These are the new ones.
Isn't this the after party 3.0?
It is, but Paige's pick didn't start until like 3.0.
Isn't this like after party 4 or 5.0 now?
Yeah, it's 4.0 now.
When's 5.0?
When the next season starts. It changes with the seasons.
And is the in between the seasons 4.5?
Yes.
Okay, and that's where the edgy stuff happens. Usually at 4.5. Okay, first song, starting off pretty tame. I got Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash, because this is pretty much Eric whenever an edgy topic comes up. Yeah. Should I stay or should I go? What was the one that made you get up and leave?
We're not going to talk about it because that caused all the problems.
Oh, it was about that family.
Yeah.
Okay, all good. Now I remember. Next up, I got Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People.
No.
We are not going to. Okay, no lyrics from that song.
No, but it's because you live in America and that's where school shootings happen. So
yes, that's true, but no lyrics from that
There's
song.
your yellow check mark.
So that's 2 things that perfectly describe Eric. Okay. America and whether he leaves during an edgy topic. Thirdly, I've got Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant, accompanied by a sneeze. Or a blowing of the nose.
Great part is I pressed the mute mic and I guess I double pressed it by mistake.
Oh no.
Well, at least you didn't do anything else. Okay, I got Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm. That's because that scene in American Pie 2 where he super glues his hand to his penis, and that just sounds like something that Eric would have done.
Yeah.
Or that's something that might have happened to Eric. Like, you know how meme is like, my friend, this happened to my buddy Eric. When I was watching that scene again, that just reminded me that might have happened to Eric.
Okay. Can
you confirm or deny that may have happened to you?
No comment. No comment.
Show us your hands. Next up, second last one, we got 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies.
I love that
because
song.
It's been every single time the after party rolls around, it's 1 week since the last possible closure of the channel due to after party edginess.
That's true.
So yeah, I think that's pretty common. And then I got The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson because Eric also removed
that one, yeah. Yeah. Marilyn Manson, totally problematic though, unfortunately. But
you look a bit like him.
Do I really? I look like him, but I don't look like Cisco.
You look more like Marilyn Manson than.
No, I'm saying like how do I How do I look like?
Yeah, I need to hear Paige's explanation of this one.
I'm gonna say the hat. I'm gonna say the hat.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the hat.
Right.
That's gonna be my
There
explanation.
we go.
And that
All right.
and that concludes Paige's pick this week. Top 5 songs.
Paige's pick 2.0.
Yeah, Paige's pick 2.0. Top 5 songs that perfectly describe DJ Eric / Eric's Reloaded.
Okay, there we go. I always look in the comments to see the first person that's going to timestamp it because they get pinned anytime somebody because I used to timestamp, but now people in the comments do it, so I just pin whoever timestamps it. So we'll see what they call that. How fun that's going to be. All right, let's talk about this week's episode of The Flash. Finally, this is episode 10. I think.
Yeah, 1-0. I think that's how you do it.
1-0. Titled Reckless. And this episode it's mostly I don't even know, a Frost episode with Caitlin and her mom, and then the Iris continuation of the Phantom Girl story with Tenya and Sue. And yeah, I caught a lot of flack because I really did not like this episode. Like, out of every episode this season, this is easily my least favorite episode. And you said that I was going to rant because of it being just basically a setup episode for other stuff. But I'm going to counter that by saying, regardless of what the episode is supposed to be, it still needs to be entertaining. It can't be an hour of just setup with no entertainment. You have to have something in it that is entertaining. And the only thing entertaining in this episode was the end of it. The very end was something exciting. The rest of it was really boring. Right?
Yeah, I agree. But that's the thing. That's why I went. I was like, $10. You go over the top and rant about a setup episode.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
right?
at the end of the day, it's so yes, that is funny, but the reality is that the episode was not good.
Oh no,
It wasn't a good episode.
But that's the thing. I don't think it was good, but I also don't think it was bad. I just think it was the most definitive episode of The Flash. Like, meh.
I will watch either of the interlude episodes 10 times again before I ever watch
this season.
It was really bad.
This season,
yeah, the 2 interludes from this season. Yeah,
I'd probably watch them over this one. However, I think this episode you still need to watch for the story.
That's
because
awful,
if you just
though.
It does. Yeah, but I don't think it's awful. I just think, you know what the issue is, and I said this in my review. They stretched out a 30-minute story into a 42, 44-minute episode,
Absolutely.
however long it is without the ads.
Absolutely.
But you know what they should have done? Actually, let me describe this to you. The plot that we saw is the same in the back half. You know, they're testing everything. However, it's more contained because it's not trying to stretch it out to 40-odd minutes again. You know what they should have done at the beginning? They should have had Black Flame kill another person and Barry's, but they should have had it that they go, we've caught a signature on Black Flame, blah, blah, blah. And that's what makes Barry run back to Central City after being in Coast City to visit Iris. So you get that opening scene with Dion, Iris, Barry, blah, blah, blah. And then there's like, Barry, blah, blah, blah. We got another reading on Black Flame. Barry runs in and he thinks he's going to get to Black Flame. He's like, oh, he hasn't moved. I'm going to get there. Gets there and nothing's there. It's just a blank area. There's no Black Flame. There's another reading and that's where he kills another person, or the Black Flame kills another person, finds it, and they find another not connected to anything, no grief, no mourning or anything like that. And that's what leads to that scene with Joe and Cecile where they're talking about how there's no connections and now they got really no leads as to what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should have opened up the episode. I don't know why that wasn't the case, because that's like a typical Flash episode thing to do.
Yeah,
I would open up with a scene like that.
The beginning of this episode felt like it should have landed somewhere in the middle. Like, that's honestly the way it felt.
Well, yeah, you, like, outside, once you get past that opening scene with Iris and Dion and Barry, and then just sort of cuts to, like, was it Frost? It was
Frost doing her artwork.
But it should have been like they lost track of Black Flame after almost getting him, and then it attacks Frost.
Yeah,
maybe they thought they were repeating themselves from last week, but I'm like, but it's different enough because you think you're getting closer and closer and closer to catching this thing.
But see, the problem is that would have filled in time and not made it feel more repetitive, but it still would have been a boring episode.
But the thing is that what I'm saying is that then it's contained that thing at the end. I think the issue is because they stretched it out so much and they filled it in with not very interesting things. So they delayed a lot of the fold out of the story so they could stretch it out.
Okay.
And you see that a lot with, like, Legends does it a lot.
Yes, they do.
Legends does that a lot. Like they will
It's
have
almost every episode of Legends.
they'll
does,
fit
so.
2 episodes worth of storylines into 4 episodes. That's how what they'll try and do. Supergirl did it last season in their final season as well.
They did. Yep.
And it's really, and the thing is, it's not an expensive thing to do because you can just reuse the CGI with Barry running, and then it's Grant sliding into a room in the Flash suit. Like it wasn't a cost thing.
Well, in this episode, they didn't even show him actually doing running. They would just do a light flash and then air. Like we never saw him run. Like it always focused on the other person's face, and then you'd hear the noise, and the wind would blow, and you see a little flash of light, and that was it. There was
like when Barry runs in.
Yeah, they never did any flash CGI. What were we gonna say, Kim?
Then again, I guess maybe because he wasn't in the suit or something like that. I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
that's probably.
I don't remember what I might have been willing to say. I forget now.
I saw you
because I think that's the best way to sum it up. It was just a 30-minute plot or a 30-minute episode stretched out to 40 minutes, and they should have had an intro third. Or just
see, and what you're saying though, that literally leads to every problem that this episode had, which was the fact that Frost, Caitlin, and her mother had this like merry-go-round conversation over and over and over for 3 different scenes, and it's like. Yeah. They never accomplished anything. And then Caitlin was like, Frost, you can't risk your life. And then when her mother's like, we're going to do it together. Then she's like, oh, both of you are risking your life. Okay. That's better. Like just the writing was very like not good. The whole idea that Frost is like so adamant on doing this without any other prior buildup to it also felt a little weird. Because it hadn't attacked her yet. This was the first time that this had happened. And she's like, well, I have to do this. And it was just this weird, I don't know. The episode just felt weird to me. Something about it was off. I don't even really know specifically, every single little detail. Like I couldn't break down exactly why, but there's things in it that I just didn't like. And again, it felt very bloated with like filler writing, which you just said, Paigey. It's because they tried to fit.
I think that's the thing, the best way to describe it, because I don't think it's a necessarily bad episode because I think it still pushes on the story in a decent enough way. It's just that like it's like eating a burger and like just like they've put too many onions on it, like or the onions are too thick. It's just like, look, the onions, they don't need to be this thick, right. And like they just give you like a fat chunk of tomato. You're like, no one wants that much tomato on a burger. Like, what are you doing? Like that's pretty much what it was.
Okay.
Maybe the bread was too thick. Maybe they gave you the whole entire loaf.
So I have a theory, like I don't have any fact behind it, just a theory that I came up with off the top of my head.
Okay.
It felt like, there was writing that they just like maybe made up on the spot. I wonder if there was a behind the scenes thing where they had to cancel some scenes because of maybe, something, maybe someone got sick or was, out of the lineup because they tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we have to put some extra scenes in here. And they just bloated the runtime for that. Because I do agree. Like, there's some scenes that, I don't know. I don't think the episode's as bad as your F grade, but it definitely is dragged down by
well, when I give it that grade, I think in my mind, when I'm doing my scores, I'm like, okay, what is one thing in this episode that would make me go, this makes the episode exciting for me? Mm-hmm. There is nothing in this episode. It is the most boring story. So I can't give it a good score because number one, I never want to watch it again.
No, and I understand that. Yeah. I understand that. Here's my thought process behind it. Mm-hmm. When I think of an episode that is an F, I think of like the Cecile mental health episode.
That was definitely an F episode, though. That was definitely an F.
This is at least a step to a step and a half above that, which means at worst it's a D.
See, yeah, but for I can understand your reasoning behind that. That's your own thoughts on it. But for me, I literally, if I cannot watch an episode again, I cannot give it higher than an F. This is an episode that I will never ever. If I watch the season back,
and I don't blame you. Like this is you and Buddy kind of have similar thoughts that you are very frustrated by a lot of things in this episode and you weren't entertained.
Yeah.
And like I replied in his, not every episode should have an oh my god wow moment because then they kind of get worn out on you after a while.
But that wasn't even it. there wasn't I'm just saying, if I were to ask you, there was one moment in this episode that you like, it doesn't have to be a wow moment. One episode, one thing in this episode that you can look back on and go, yeah, that was really good. There is nothing for me that I can say is good, even from a conversation standpoint.
Okay.
The only thing that I think is redeemable in this episode, and it's not even just because of the episode, is just they're continuing the story with Iris's time sickness, which I actually like that story. But outside of that, which again isn't just because of this one episode, there's nothing in it that I think is even worthy of like we're discussing it now, and there's nothing to really break down or like.
Our discussion is actually about whether it sucks or is bad.
Because there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about for this episode. Absolutely nothing. Like, they were trying to trap the Black Flame, and at the end, you know, Chester's like, we're back at square one. And I feel like for the last 2 weeks, it's been back at square one. Like, we need to progress the story a little bit.
In like a real scenario, that's probably what's going to happen multiple times. You know, you like try something, fail, go back to step one.
But I knew from the minute we were already setting up that science experiment they were doing within 10 minutes of the episode that we were in for a long, boring episode of trial and error that I don't think is interesting for television. It's just not interesting. I would much rather them come up with a solution at the end and throw in a line like Chester goes, oh, I made this overnight, this device works, or whatever, just like what Cisco would do. And then you just wrap it up that way. That's way more entertaining than me watching the scientific process of them doing this, especially when this whole episode's storyline was mother and daughter relationships. That's the whole episode was about that. And it was done so poorly when it's not even an uninteresting subject. It was just not a good story. And that's the problem, is you have Iris with Tenya, which, by the way, she makes her mother disappear after they freaking spend all that time like trying to find her, which I was like, okay. And then you have the stuff going on with Caitlin and her mother and Frost. And, you know, I guess the one interesting thing about that story is that Frost isn't actually her biological daughter. And so there's this idea of them being sisters, which is what Caitlin has been calling her for a while. But even that wasn't enough for me to go, you know what? I'm not going to take a nap while I'm watching this episode. That's really the way I felt about it. There was just nothing. There was no meat and potatoes. It's like they wrote something that sounds good in concept, and then they didn't do anything with it. That's the problem. Every conversation that the sisters and the mothers had relatively were the same conversation every single time for 3 different
scenes. I think that was on purpose. They were trying to, they're at least trying to make the two mother-daughter things kind of connect. I don't know how else to describe
I'm not disagreeing. Daddy hates the metal. That this episode, your episode was better this time, which is, can't believe I'm saying that. But it was. And okay, so let's talk about the end, because the end is really the only thing to discuss, which is the fact that Caitlin is in her apartment and the Black Flame comes into her apartment, and it's supposedly Ronnie. Now, we've been saying this for how long since this was introduced, that it was probably going to be Ronnie. I think we basically talked about this before it even appeared on screen. But now you've got this little sort of misdirect where, is it Ronnie or is it like Chester, where she's seeing someone that she loves that died, that she feels guilt about or whatever? Is that what's going on? And then it brings in the question, well, does that mean that this is how we're going to see Eddie? Is Eddie going to show up as a hallucination within this Black Flame, or is it really going to be Ronnie? That's probably the most interesting part of this story. And I have to give them credit for setting that up with the Chester storyline, because I think that does give us a little bit of mystery with it. But then you think back, Ronnie's killing people. If this is Ronnie, he's murdering people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's not Ronnie, just for the simple reason that if you guys don't want spoilers, maybe don't listen for the next minute. But Robbie Amell was only here for 2 episodes, and that storyline, from the way Eric Wallace has sold us on this season, is stretching out past his 2 episode arc, which means Black Flame needs to still be the villain after Ronnie has left the show. Robbie has left the show.
Right. And Robbie is actually on a very well-received show on Amazon now. He's the lead on that show, Upload. So he's doing that. Paigey, what do you think? Are they gonna just be hallucinations for the Black Flame, or do you suspect that we're gonna get more from these characters?
I don't know. The fact he's in 2 episodes is interesting. I don't know. Like, it seems that episode 14 is the finale for this arc, but then again, episode 14 could be like a sort of like a soft finale, and like episode 13 is where it all happens. But even then, Robbie Amell only filmed episode 11 and 12, so like I don't know what it's going to be specifically. Like it. Then you got to remember there's also the fact that Rick Cosnett's been doing multiple more episodes this season as Eddie Thorne. So is he in this arc or is he in an arc afterwards? Because
I don't know. Canada Grass, have you seen him on set at all?
Well, yesterday is the first time I've seen them on set since February. So,
okay.
So, like, you know, like, is he the next one that shows up after Ronnie? Because, like, would you bring Rick Cosnett back if Candace isn't there? Like, wouldn't Candace have to be associated with that? And her last episode is episode 14 until episode 19, by the sounds of it. So does that mean Eddie is in episode 13 and 14? And then episode 14 is called Funeral for a Friend. And it's not going to be Ronnie because Robbie's not there. So is it Eddie that the funeral's for?
I think that might be the case because I'm doing the math in my head, and that sounds about the time that I think Rick Cosnett was supposed to be here. I don't know for certain, but it was right around that time.
Also, Seb K here talked about the flashbacks. Yeah, they were a little bit weird. I've seen them in a couple episodes now where we get this like weird, almost soap opera flashback to a character when they're talking about them. I don't know if it's necessary or not. It's an aesthetic thing.
They do that for new viewers to the show. They don't do that for us.
You know why? I'm pretty sure they do it. It's exactly what a comic book would do.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And Eric Wallace seems to be like to do that, which I don't mind. Because it's like on screen for like a couple seconds. It's not like you get a 1 minute flashback scene.
I will say though, it's very like 90s because TV shows in the 90s used to do it, and it feels dated, and I think that's why people have an issue with it. It doesn't feel modern. It's not like a modern way to do it.
I don't mind it. Maybe it's like, is that a boomer moment? Because I don't really care.
No, I don't. No, I'm saying
like for me, because it seems like a thing that would be normal. In shows.
I will say this: I think artistically. Can't believe I'm saying this. Artistically, I think it cheapens the episode. I think it cheapens the story they're telling by doing that. But that's only because, to me, seeing a flashback like that feels too old school to me. But that's just me personally. I don't care if they do it. It doesn't ruin. Like, it's not like one go, oh, the whole episode's ruined because there's a flashback. Like, I don't care about that. But it does feel like
that would be an Eric moment.
Well, no, because like if you look at Arrow's entire story building was done on flashbacks, but they actually filmed scenes as flashbacks, whereas on the Flash it's just a clip from a previous season, which I think is why it feels a little bit cheap.
Actually, that's what you look like Icicle.
Do I?
One of the reasons that they do those flashback things though is it's a cost saving measure too. That's 30 to 60 seconds of time. They don't have to air film new material.
Speaking of that, I did notice something that I think was a huge directorial mistake in this episode, and that was the scene when they were in the adoption agency and the lady walked around the corner to go out of the room.
Oh, I saw your rant on,
Yeah, there was a long lull there where I thought my TV had frozen because they just sat there with the
you know what I thought had happened? I thought time had frozen.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
That's what I thought. Either of those would have been more interesting than what happened because just all the furniture disappeared. They could have done that with a quick, like she could have walked around the corner, walked back, and then the furniture was gone. That would have had the same effect instead of that lingering.
But also, I don't understand. Like, I didn't understand that scene either because Iris didn't touch any of that stuff.
Right.
So it was just the fact that she was in that area, and if so, wouldn't that woman have disappeared if everything else disappeared?
Yeah, it was.
I guess they might explain. They might explain.
The time sickness is interesting to me, but I truly believe it was introduced as an explanation for why Candace was gone last season, and they just don't know how to make it work. I don't think.
So when you talk about like, shouldn't the woman have also disappeared? In theory, that sounds logical, but when you think back to it, like when her first time it happened with the meal disappearing, like the table under it didn't disappear. Like it's very pick and choose what wants to disappear.
What if she traveled through time? What if the furniture didn't disappear? What if we were seeing her moving through time? Like she went there before the building was actually furnished.
Yeah, but it had all like the thing for the company. It's still on the desk.
No,
I'm
no.
pretty
I mean,
sure.
like when they basically were making the building, like the building was made and they hadn't
Well,
moved the furniture.
shouldn't have her like cup disappeared as well or something?
We don't know. I have
Or
no
the room that
idea.
she was in shouldn't have all because it disappeared. Like it looked like it disappeared. Look,
To be fair, none of
that-
it makes any sense. To be fair,
Well, yeah, like I
I
understand
mean-
like Iris touching something, like the food, the hairbrush, and everything like that. But that scene, I was like, I didn't even understand what's meant to be happening there because Iris didn't. If anything, the thing that should have disappeared was the desk, and that was the only thing
Yes.
stayed there.
or the paperwork that
Yeah.
she touched because she had paperwork in her
Yeah.
hands as well. Okay, another thing that was confusing to me that people said that they thought it was something else, but that wouldn't make any sense was when Sue made the phone call to the guy that ran the adoption agency. People were like, well, that was just Ralph pretending to be the guy. But then I'm like, Ralph doesn't know. She didn't say who the person was. How would he have impersonated someone?
I think it's legitimately just rich girl connections. Like that's what I
thought too. But then people were like, well, maybe it's Ralph, and I'm like, no, they haven't mentioned Ralph.
That's the thing. She would have mentioned. Oh, by the way, that was just Ralph. That shows do that. They would have mentioned that afterwards when Iris went. Oh, that was like Iris would have gone. Oh, that was really good. It's like, oh no, it was just Ralph.
Yeah. So we have Lance here with one eye super chat, and Ronnie's defense, Barry has also killed people. Yes, everyone has on the show at one point or another, but this creature, or whatever it is just cold-bloodedly murdered.
And also, Barry hasn't just killed random innocent people.
Right.
That's what
I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna call this ahead of time, and Paigey, you can give me shit when we're all done with this.
And it's an Eric early prediction that failed.
It is, but I think I'm gonna be right on this one. No matter what this Black Flame storyline ends up being, the dots are not going to line up. I don't think we're going to get a perfect line of what actually is going on because from one episode to another, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, it feeds on guilt. Then it's something completely different.
Well, no, I think
power doesn't work. I mean,
but I think that's the whole. Like, I can't even make a prediction too much because I think this week's upcoming episode will explain it. Or at least give us no, maybe not explain it. Sorry,
but it definitely needs to because idea. I'm so like right now. I feel like we are doing a 2-episode storyline over a full graphic novel. That's what I feel like is happening here.
Well,
it just feels so drawn out to me.
Yeah, but it's mainly because we don't understand what exactly the Black Flame is at the root of it all, like at the core of it all. Like, is it someone that can just? Is it actually just this like other being that is an actual flame or something that's able to tap into the dead? Or is it actually someone like Ronnie or someone else like that?
I honestly at this point, I don't want it to be Deathstorm. I don't want it to be Firestorm. I want it to be something.
No. Well, I think we know it's not going to be. I don't know how it can be if it seems that this arc doesn't end until episode 14 and Ronnie's only in episode 11 and 12. Mm-hmm. It's not bad writing because why do you always write that Q&A music? You don't know until it's done.
This episode was bad writing. Maybe not the storyline in general, but this episode was
but he just wrote it then. So
okay, yeah.
You don't know until it's done.
Yeah.
The best story in the world. We talked about this last week, didn't we? The best story in the world can be really timid and nothing really happening. Going, what the hell is this? And then it all connects together at the end. It's like, wow, that was really, really good.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not judging the entire story on it yet. I'm just saying I hope that when we get to the end of this, that all
if anything, you don't like the pacing of it.
I hate the pacing of it.
If anything, that's what you don't like. It's the pacing. Yeah. And I think, as I said, I think this episode would have been. I think you would have liked it, Eric. This is alternate timeline Paigey tapping into me. Right. I'm getting a Cisco moment. Like, hold on, I'm fritzing out. Okay, I'm back. I've just got word. He told me you loved it. You gave it an 8.5 out of 10 because they opened with a 10-minute sequence with more Black Flame action and Barry. And you loved it. And you said that Caitlin's mother was your favorite part of the episode.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hold on. It's coming in.
They also tried to wrap that story up.
I just got something
totally makes sense to me either. But
I got something from the other alternate timeline. Hold on. Oh, interesting. Ruby Rose's Batwoman has just been renewed for season 4. Wait, hold on.
Do you know what else was missing from this episode? The Flash.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah, but I don't. It was all in. I think it would have been weird if he was the Flash, because I always see that comments like, "Why is he not in his suit?" I'm like, because they're in Star Labs.
But I will.
And I have
will
no
say-
problem with that. But in an entire episode of The Flash,
Yeah, well,
there
that's
should
what
be
I'm
at least one scene
Well,
of
that's what
him
I'm
doing
saying.
something as the Flash.
But that's what I'm saying. If they have that scene at the beginning where he's chasing Black Flame,
Yeah, sure.
then he is the Flash. And I think that's what was missing was that.
So-
like I would call it typical Flash intro.
Mhm.
Like I almost call it like a typical thing the Flash would do. So that's why I was so surprised that they didn't do it, especially when you get into the episode and you realize, oh, well, what's going on? This is stretched
so
out.
I
for
actually
sure.
maybe this will go to a F plus instead of just an F. Okay, maybe it'll be a F plus.
Ooh.
Is that at least this isn't the Forces storyline? That's probably the biggest compliment I can give it, because that is a storyline that I will skip the whole thing from start to finish. I will never go back and watch that again. Never. Like, I hated that storyline. That's probably my least favorite.
Wait, I know what your favorite part of the episode was, because it's definitely my most hated part. When Caitlin's mother offered Chester the job and he looked at Allegra and went, I can't take it. There's romance ahead of my life here. I can't take it.
I didn't even pay attention to that, to be honest. So
I don't know. I only remember that now that he brings it up.
That was my most. I didn't want to acknowledge it, but it's like a car crash. It's like a decomposing corpse on your bed. Like, you're just gonna have to address it.
So
why is there a decomposing corpse on your bed, though, Eric? That's the big question.
That is a good question. I have no answer for it. We'll let the writers from the Flash wrap it up. So I do have one thing I want to discuss before we wrap up everything, and that is with Caitlin's mother. Do you think we're going to get any kind of continuation of that story, or do you think they just kind of did that to close up the ending of her?
I think they wrapped up that whatever they had planned initially, because they'll remember Danielle Panabaker was meant to be gone at the beginning of season 7 because of the pregnancy, and then COVID went what's doing, and then she was able to be back in time. I think they just wrapped up anything they were going to do off screen, or like what they were going to do in that story in this episode, whether it's stuff that happened off screen and then on screen, whatever it might be.
So they're basically acknowledging that she has the power within her. She just doesn't use it. She doesn't have a way to use it, or it doesn't manifest, or whatever. Is what they're saying, correct? That they're dormant, but like not dormant at the same time. Even though, how does that really make sense when Caitlin's powers came from that frost persona and her mother's is just ice powers? I don't totally get that. But
didn't they say it was the general lineage or whatever it was? They said it in the episode. I can't remember what it was. They said it in the episode.
Yeah, they did, but it still didn't. That doesn't mean it made sense. It just.
It was. I can't remember exactly what the explanation was. Something about lineage. So
all right. Yeah. So in the chat, this Flash episode 10-10-810, Reckless. What would you score it on a scale of 1 to 10? We all know that I gave it an F. I have nothing else to really say about it. It's just, which is why I did that edgy review in my car. Where I just basically started out, I was going to take my notes for the episode, and then I realized I didn't give a shit about anything, and then I just ranted for like.
Is that how you're going to do all your reviews from now on? When you don't like something, just go in your car.
I mean, maybe people actually said they like it, and it was literally cringe. So we'll see. Let's see. We got a few interesting scores here. We have some 4s, some 7s. I see an 8. Giovanni gave it a 100 out of 10. Wow.
100 seems fair.
Yeah, 3 out of 10.
I think the fair rating is probably like a 6.5. It's just straight down the middle, bang average. That's probably the rating.
The night when it aired, I said 7.5, but after I thought about it much more, I think you're right. I think about 6.5 is where I'd probably
6.5 if you want to be leaning on a 7. So if people putting 7, I'd probably agree with as well. It's just straight down. Like, there's nothing great about it. There's nothing terrible about it. It's literally the most average episode.
I would say this is actually, I would actually say this, like, and I'm going to stick by this. I think both of the interludes from this season were more entertaining than this episode.
Well, probably because they're made to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was made to carry the story.
I never thought we'd get an episode in the graphic novel where I'd be like, you know what? I'd rather watch the interludes, but this one made me say that. So
you heard it, guys. Wait. Eric loves interludes.
Okay, here we go. Before we do the super chat, I'm going to say this, and this is the only time you will ever hear me say this. I would rather watch the duet episode than watch this one, because at least that one.
Did you say that for Girls' Night Out as well?
No, I will not say that for Girls Night Out. No, I will not say that. That
How about Run Iris Run?
No, definitely
Even
not.
Eric likes Run Iris Run.
I do not like Run Iris Run. Do not. Lone Wolf here, Team Eric member with the $5 super chat. God, I miss Wells being on the show. I feel like it's been empty since he left. What about you? I'm going to say something that's people are probably going to find hard to believe. I don't really, it doesn't matter much, honestly. I don't really, maybe him not being there is added to some of the weird side stories, but I feel like they wrapped up his story in sort of a satisfying way for me. I like Tom Cavanaugh and I'd love to have him around, but I feel like he personally thought his character had plateaued, and that's why they kept introducing new versions. I love him as Welzabard. He can keep coming back as often as he wants as Welzabard. I think that's fine. And if they eventually want to introduce another Harry, that's fine too. It's not that I don't miss him. I don't think him in the show fills a void that's going on right now, because the show has too many characters as it is. I don't know where Harry Wells' story would fit in with all this Allegra stuff and Chester stuff and Cecile stuff. I just don't know where it would go. But Welzabard, always welcome back to the show for me. What about you guys? Any thoughts on Tom Cavanaugh?
I mean, Tom Cavanaugh as a regular on the show is gone, but he's always coming back. I mean, Jesse L. Martin, I think it was, that spoiled that his character was coming back this season.
Eric Wallace spoiled it as well.
Wallace said it. Wallace? Okay, yeah.
No,
I
Jesse
knew someone
Martin,
did.
Aaron and Eric Wallace said it.
Right.
Yeah. So we already know he's coming back. And I mean, I said in my blog post, and I know Paigey said it in the video, like, I saw his trailer at the set. So we know Eobard's back. So
is another super chat here from Lone Wolf says, I just miss Tom's chemistry with the actors, but all the people he had chemistry with are pretty much gone. I think he didn't have this great chemistry with Caitlin. It was more with Cisco and Barry. And he never really, his chemistry with Iris was very limited. He didn't really talk with Joe very much. Frost, pretty much no connection there, really. So, and also it depends on what version of the character he was playing, honestly. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd like him back. I don't think he would fix the issues with the show. And maybe Eric Wallace doesn't like his characters. I feel like Eric Wallace doesn't like Wells because he kind of doesn't have anything, like, it seems like that's when things decided to like drift apart, when Eric sort of took over as the showrunner. I feel like Wells became more and more disconnected after that. And I don't know. That's just a conspiracy theory of mine. I have no idea. Krista here with a really interesting comment. I'd rather rewatch Arrow season 4 than this episode.
Woo!
The whole season.
I'm calling a lie on that one.
Yeah, I think that's like
the whole season.
I mean, I see a lot of Cap in the chat. I think, along like, I mean, Giovanni himself being here is enough Cap to, melt the brain, but I'm definitely calling Cap on that.
No. Okay, so Ethan's asking about the game night streams. Let me explain what happened with game nights. Let's dive into that for a second. It's maybe not exposed, but
explanation via exposing.
Yeah. So there have been times we've tried to set it up, and for one reason or another, certain people don't make it, or they don't respond, or they're not available to do it. And with game nights, we have to have more than just 2 people on the stream in order for it to work. I would like to have 4 people for game nights. That would be the ideal number. It's just really hard to make that happen. The other thing is, we've talked about doing game nights where Team Eric members can join in. The problem is that I'm not sure if I want to risk my channel doing that yet. Because even if you're a Team Eric member, you could still get on the channel and do something that could get the channel.
Yeah, there is the issue of sneaky penis. Ben almost had an issue of sneaky penis.
So yes, and so then there's also the audio thing. Like if we did something through Discord, which by the way, we're going to be finishing that up soon. We can't tell if people are cheating or not. It takes the fun out of it because you can't tell. Anything. So it's really, really, really one of those things where we're just trying to figure out how to make it work and get around everybody's schedule. That's all it is. Like it's literally that's what's happening behind the scenes. Just so everybody knows. Yeah, we could do the quizzes thing, but we still would like to have multiple people here during the stream to participate in it. Like people that are actually on the live stream outside of just the chat. We will. You know what? I'll dedicate some time this week to try and get it set up and see if we can find some people that are like. Really, it comes down to people's schedule.
Actually,
That's
by the
really what
way,
it is.
Eric, would you
Yeah.
like me to give you some good news that you might perceive as bad news?
What's the good news?
Naomi actually had some pretty good episodes recently.
Oh, okay.
It's, I think, episode 8 and 9 or something, or 9 and 10, whichever it was. Not only were half decent, but they were actually sort of funny. They actually had funny moments in them, which made me laugh. And not in like a, you know, laughing at it, but laughing with it.
Yeah.
Will Eric catch up on Naomi? That's the big question.
I've already said that I'll finish watching it when it's completely done. I'm not going to contribute to visibility numbers for the show until I know if I really, really like it. And I gave them
catch up
5 episodes.
And also they put a like a twist in there which changes it from the comics, I think, as well, in like a pretty big way. I won't spoil it, but because I was like, oh crap, when it actually happened.
I will probably do, because how many episodes are left? Just 2?
No, 4, I think.
4, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to dedicate making videos about Naomi, but I may go and like the week of the finale, like with the final 2 episodes, I might catch up on it then and whatnot. I gave a lot to that series. I watched it till like episode 5 or so, and then I just couldn't. I'm like, you can't give me like half your season and it just be boring to me. I can't.
Yeah, it feels like they crammed like. Can't remember what episode 7 was like, but I'm pretty sure it was episode 8 and 9. The 2 episodes in a row I watched the other day were good. And now it's I think it's on break like Superman and Lois.
Right.
I don't understand why a show would write their season in a way where they want you to stick around until 2/3 of the way through the season for it to get interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you need to keep people in right away. You can be dull in the middle because you've already got them hooked from the first 3 episodes. But to wait until like episode 8 for me to suddenly be like, oh shit, stuff's happening.
Yeah,
now.
but I don't think it's really that. I think like if it wasn't like, because the thing is, I think it was a bit of false advertising with Superman and the stuff around that. So I think Naomi as itself is a fine show outside of some weird pacing issues in the opening episode and episodes, might I say, like they're saying like 3 episodes, and then that stupid camp episode, which I think didn't actually relate to anything.
I tapped out. That was the episode I tapped out.
The thing is that I don't think if anyone's watching Naomi as well, I don't think the camp episode actually relates to anything. So you could skip the camp episode, or where they go to the woods or whatever it is. And then you've only got 8 episodes to watch. But I think, especially based off the last few, it's actually, yeah, like as I said, there's like some good like character moments. Like some of the characters still don't fit, but they're fitting better together than they did. But yeah, the past few episodes I enjoyed. And I'm actually
it was a rough
excited to see it end.
First season for the show.
It end, sorry.
It was a rough first season, I will say. And
you know what it reminded me of?
Yeah,
Legends season 1.
Okay, fair enough.
That's how I
will say that.
Now Legends season 1 has that rough opening, that a rough first half,
yeah,
and then the back half, it starts to pick up and it starts to improve. That's what it is.
I will say this though, if you're going to do a mystery like they did they're doing on Naomi, you need to do it like the blueprint for me is Superman and Lois season 1, because it was a mystery, but it also would answer questions in an episode and then set questions for the next episode. And that's how you get people to keep watching every single week. The problem with Naomi is by the time we got to the camp episode, we still didn't have answers to any questions. And we were 5 episodes in at that point. The only thing we had established is that Naomi was not from this earth, or she was an alien or something along those lines, and that superheroes were real. That's really the only thing we had acknowledged by episode 5.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it because it's actually a good reveal that they do in episode 9. I'm pretty sure it is. I was like, oh. And you don't see it coming from anywhere, it just happens. And I'm like, oh shit.
I just think waiting until the end of the season to do it is not a good idea, honestly.
Well, no, because I think you need where they put it, I think is the right place to put it, this reveal.
Well, then they should have had more monsters of the week then early on to fill in
that's the issue of it not actually in place within the DC thing, because you can't just use a bounty hunter every episode like that. Right. They did for episode 4 or whatever it was. So I think where they put this reveal for it in
Yeah.
episode, I think it's episode 9.
You know what this show reminds me of though, and what it could have been was like Smallville. You still have the school stuff, but then they're dealing with a monster.
Yeah, but I think that's the issue.
Naomi should have been doing that. From
but that's the issue of it not being in the actual DC universe and being its own separate thing. But I'm once again, I don't want to spoil the thing, but I'm very curious to see where that reveal in episode 9 leads come not only the end of the season, but also a potential season 2 if it does get renewed. That's what I'm curious.
So, Mike, before we wrap this up, because we're going to go right after this, what do you think it's going to get a season 2 based on how it's wrapping up right now? Do you think it's strong enough to get another season?
Well, I don't know. It depends on, I guess, the CW's faith around it. But the thing is that it's tied to HBO Max, and you get the whole Ava DuVernay, connection as well. So that might get it a season 2. And I mean, there's been shows that have been renewed for seasons upon seasons. They get less viewers. I mean, I think Dynasty had less viewers in its first season than Naomi, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago when they started, when network TV was still a bit stronger.
I'm pretty sure there's episodes of Dynasty that get less viewers than the After Party.
Yeah.
It's the lowest view. I think it's the low outside of those like random clip shows that they do.
So Lone Wolf's got a couple of super chats here we're going to acknowledge, and then we're going to head out. I missed Earth 2, Wells and Jesse resurrect them. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's fine that you missed them. I think Jessie, the actress who plays Jessie, has moved on to other things. And another
she's in a movie with was it a show? She's like the lead with someone like fairly big.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a movie or a show. I can't remember.
And then Lone Wolf here also missed Captain Cold on the Flash. That's another thing. If we ever get that character back, it'll be a redo of Captain Cold. I don't think it'll be the same one that we knew. So, all right, that's pretty much it. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much, Catergraphs, for stopping in and getting those pictures on set. They're absolutely amazing, and make the after party 4 hours. I don't think so. Too funny. And we have
maybe that can be the after party 4.5 when Eric starts to drink alcohol on stream.
Yeah, that could be.
I would definitely go for 4 hours.
Boats and Hose over here. Go check out Boats and Hose channel. It's a lot of boats and hose on there. So go over and see that. And we're gonna get out of here.